Well, March is Irish Heritage Month, and it's time to celebrate the Irish Canadian community and their vast contributions to Canadian culture and life. We are very lucky this morning. We are joined by the Ireland's ambassador to Canada, John Concannon. Good morning to you.
Good morning, Will.
It's so great having you here. I love talking about the impact that the Irish culture has had right here on Canada. Can we dive into that?
Well, it's great to be here. Thank you very much for inviting me. And also because we've just kicked off Irish Heritage Month here in Canada. The Government of Canada, just a couple of years ago with James Maloney, the MP, said, March is going to be such an important month for Irish in Canada. It's now officially Irish Heritage Month. The Irish have had a massive impact in Canada, but the truth is Canada has been a real beacon of light for Ireland for centuries. Irish people have been coming here in waves for hundreds and hundreds of years, and in fact coming here to Ottawa and have had a massive impact. In fact, the first Irish that came to Ottawa used to stay right here in Bowtown Market, and this is where they started because they were the people who built the Rideau Canal and started the whole story of the Irish here. It's been a wonderfully positive story of Irish people coming here for generations, finding a new life, finding a better life, and it's just a great, great country and a great partnership between our two countries for many years.
This is why I feel like it's so important to have these conversations, because there's so much history there that is fascinating that we need to make sure that we're reminded of. You touched on it a little bit, here in the Byward Market. What are some other connections when you think specifically from the Irish community to right here in the capital?
Well, you think of in 1965, the first time in history, on the Peace Tower just up the road there in Parliament, the beautiful Canadian flag was flown. That flag was designed by Irish Canadians. And of course, then you walk down the road and you see, D'Arcy McGee's, that great Irish pub that's named after a man called D'Arcy McGee. And D'Arcy McGee was an Irish Canadian who came over here and is regarded as the godfather of Confederation in terms of Canada coming together. And right across the city, there's examples of Irish impact here. Right now, Will, there's 21 Irish organisations in Ottawa. And everybody listening today, it's a big hello and a happy Irish Heritage Month, happy St. Patrick's Day. We have the Irish Society, we have the Irish the music groups, Comhaltas groups, business groups, sporting groups. And of course, it all leading to one big day, which is on Saturday. Because on Saturday, for the first time since before COVID, St. Patrick's Day is back. St. Patrick's Parade is back in Ottawa. At 12 o'clock, everyone's meeting at the Supreme Court, walking through the streets of Ottawa. It's going to be epic. Everyone's invited.
I think you said it perfectly. Epic is the perfect word to describe what it's going to be like. What does that mean to you to have an event like that back that celebrates the heritage?
Oh, it means so much. It's because, in Canada, 15% of people identify as Irish heritage. In Ottawa, it's much more because there's a deep, deep connection here. And people have been coming for many years to Canada. But there's one year in particular, Will, just to highlight to you, which was 1847. 1847 was a year, sadly, Ireland suffered a famine. Hundreds and thousands of Irish refugees came across the Atlantic. Some of them, many came into Gros Isle in Quebec and then down into Montreal, and many arrived here into Ottawa. And when people arrived on the shores of Canada into Montreal and Ottawa, Toronto, desperate and really in need of help, Canada was there for us. People gave us great shelter and gave us a chance to get going again. So the Irish government and the government of Canada, the Prime Minister, our Irish Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney and our Taoiseach decided this is so important that 180 years later is 2027. So we have a major initiative that we're working on for 2027 called Canada Ireland 180, which is going to celebrate everything that's great about the relationship between Ireland and Canada. And looking at how we celebrate on Saturday here in Ottawa, the parade is kicking it all off. And there's so much other stuff happening to celebrate your Irish heritage. We encourage everybody, check it out online, join us, everyone's welcome. It's just a wonderful, wonderful time.
John, it's so great having this conversation with you. With everything happening right now globally, when you look at the history between Canada and the Irish community, on the global stage, there's so much collaboration there, and we always come together on so many issues. What do you believe are those tying connections?
Well, when our Taoiseach met the Prime Minister Carney, they talked a lot about business, they talked about other connections. But the Prime Minister said, at the core of our connection is shared values. And Irish and Canada have a really deep sense of connection. And for us in Ireland, we say, Ireland's going really well at the moment. We're Canada's 10th biggest investor. We're doing lots of business together. But when we were really stuck and when we were at our lowest point, Canada was there for us. And we will never forget that. And there's so many beautiful stories about that. For example, there's a book I have here written by a man called Tom Jenkins. Tom's family came in hard times hundreds of years ago, and he wrote this book because he found a shoebox in his attic about his family's story, and it's a beautiful book called Shoeboxes. And the interesting thing about Tom and this lovely story, and people can find it. And in fact, I was saying, Will, if people join us and follow us on social media today, we're going to give 10 books away on the Instagram. But Tom and his family is a great example because he came in very, very desperate times. But he now is the next generation, and he went on to found OpenText, the most successful technology company in Canadian history. So just another great example of the Irish that came here and made a big impact. Mark Carney's grandparents came in 1925 from Westport, and we have the records from the Halifax Museum.
Wow.
They came in and it said, Tom Carney, July 1925, possessions, £5. And to think his grandson is now the Prime Minister of Canada. This has been a wonderful, welcoming country for the Irish for many generations and many more generations to come.
It's so amazing. We really appreciate your time today, and I'd be lying if I said that I didn't rep this green tie for you today as well. Really appreciate your time today, John.
Brilliant, Will. Thank you so much.